guys, thanks for tuning in. Katie again, welcome back to my channel. Today I have very exciting trip report for you guys. It was a life changer as always for me, but this one was very special because it was a connection with nature and everything. Me and my husband, we decided to take mushrooms with large dose, very large dose, to take it in the middle of the to take it in the middle of nature. On Friday evening we went, just two of us, with our children. We went to Airbnb, which we have booked. Weather was beautiful, prediction was extremely friendly, so we were like, yes, we have just ordered this beautiful weather for our weekend. On Saturday morning we got up. We didn't eat anything because we like to, if we are doing mushrooms, we are doing it like fasted, because it really prevents you from getting sick, getting nauseous. So you can try that, and if you suffer from nausea every time you do this. We just had coffee, shower, and we made soup, just like, you know, we chopped mushrooms, dried mushrooms, we poured some hot water over them, and we added a little bit of vegetable bouillon, you know, this soup concentrate, just to make it a little bit more tasty. We put it in boxes, little boxes, and we took it with us for a walk. And we went just there where we were. Nearby there was a forest, beautiful forest, and our intention was to consume it there and to see what happens. About the dosage, we had both 15 grams of golden teacher, which is a large dose. Really, guys, if you are going for such a large doses, you should you should be very confident about if it's suitable for you, if you can handle it. You should literally work towards such a high dosage. You know, they say 5 grams is heroic dose and ego death, and then imagine what 15 grams can do with you and how long it can take to trip on such a large dose. So we went for a walk. I was still carrying these lunch boxes with soup with me, just carrying it. I didn't want to put it in the backpack. All we had with us was a bottle of water, these soups, and jackets, because I know that whenever the mushrooms start to kick in, this psilocybin starts working, my body reacts as if it has fever, if it's kind of poisoned, which actually it's true. I do consume weird stuff, so my body always reacts very weirdly, and I really need to keep myself warm because I get this fever coldness. So that's all we had with us. So we found a spot in the forest and we ate these mushrooms, these soups, and then we were like, this might not be completely private spot. You know, here in the Netherlands it's quite challenging to find a spot in the forest where no one would come to see you, where you would not meet anyone. Forests are flooded here with people cycling, walking with their dogs. It's very busy here. Netherlands is very densely inhabited. But anyway, we were just like, okay, then we would probably meet someone, but well, that's the way it is, and it would not get any better. So just, you know, we have to go, we have to try. We ate these mushrooms and we continued a little bit, because it was like we were looking for a tiny pathway which would take us somewhere between the trees, you know. We were looking for such a place. And we found one, just like, you know, tick-tack, like going left, right for a little path. Suddenly this pathway got very tiny and private. That was beautiful. But around that time I was already like, sweetie, I think we will have to sit down very soon. And my husband was like, okay, let's go a little bit further, just a little bit further. Okay, I can still handle it. So we were walking and my body started being sloppy. You know, when I did this, it was like I could see the entire slow motion. I could see the fan I was making with my hand. Oh, sweetie, it's kicking in. I really need to sit down. I started shaking, like feeling the cold. I started to feeling this biological reaction of my body. And okay, so my husband stopped and he was like, oh, look, here's a nice place to sit. And it was like, there was this moss and there were no trees, just like some bushes around it. And it was like, it really looked like a bed or like a pillow meditative place with pillows, right, prepared for us. And we were like, okay, let's sit here. My husband was already like high, if I can name it like this, and he went laying down, and I was sitting up like this, and I was observing the path just in front of my feet, and it started moving, all, you know, like these needles from the trees laying all over there, they started moving like rivers, little streams. And I was sitting there like, I was fighting it. I was like, Katie, just breathe. I love mushrooms, but these beginnings of my trips are very nasty. So I started shaking, like not going well. It's fucking not going well. And part of me was dying, my ego was dying. I knew the moments already. I was familiar with how it works, but it was still very hard to handle it and to surrender to it. But I kept breathing, and I looked next to me, and my husband was already like tripping, you know. And I touched him softly, like, sweetie, it's I was like, it's not going well with me. Can I just lay next to you? You know, my performance of speech was also fluctuating, let's say. And he was like, sure, come on. And he hugged me like this, and we went laying. Went laying in front of him, and I closed my eyes and I stopped existing. I remember that I was still cold, and I felt my body being very, very cold, but in the sense I have left my body at that moment. And all these psychedelic visuals, closed eyes visuals kicked in, spirals, fractals, beautiful, very, very, very beautiful. And at a certain point, this cold was so annoying. I got back into my body. I was like, towards my husband, like, do we have some jacket? I'm freezing cold. And I was like, my jaws were so spasmodically moving up and down, and my chest was shaking, and my entire body started vibrating. I was still fighting it, and all I wanted was just to get a jacket and fall asleep and sleep over this. I felt like I was having the worst flu in my life. But I know that, I know it's temporary, and it's just this supernova effect when I am freezing cold, freezing cold, freezing cold and sick, and then I'm like, and all these energies get manifested and loose, and I get into this orgasmic moment of oneness. I knew that I need like 1.5 to 2 hours to get over this very nasty period of time. But it's good. I took a jacket on, I was still freezing cold. All I could see and remember was the sun that I was observing between the trees, that it moved a little bit. So I could estimate like, okay, I'm not there yet. I still need more time probably. Then I closed my eyes and I was gone again. I left my body, my ego died completely. I sinked into the ground and I became the nature, which was a really beautiful moment because I was at the point of all understanding. Like basically I knew everything, whatever happens. It sounds crazy, I know. I understood why everything happened, and I was very grateful for life and understanding and supporting everything what would ever happen. This sounds very weird, but if you guys are a little bit familiar with psychedelics, you would probably understand. If you're not, I can't help you. You have to try this for yourself, because these things, it cannot be expressed with language because they are so full body, and they kind of take you into a different state of consciousness and make you understand the entire existence, that it really has to be experienced. But whenever you experience this state of ego death, which is very healing state, very beneficial, you would understand exactly what I'm trying to say and other YouTubers and teachers are saying about this state. At a certain point, I don't know where it was, when it was, how it happened or how long it took, I got back into my body after surfing of this collective consciousness, but I was still very high. You know, the dosage we took, it was like large, so we have expected to be tripping for another 4 hours or so. But we were over the peak, let's say over the nasty begin. Maybe we were still peaking, but then in this manifested energy state. And when I entered the state of manifested energies, that means 2 hours after consuming mushrooms, I stopped being cold, I stopped imploding, I started exploding and emitting energy. And that's the state where I started actually enjoying the trip. So I started like looking into the trees above me. I started looking on the moss, observing insects. And I started kind of like, I laid my head like this on the moss in the forest, on the ground. And I was just, you know, sailing on it. It was just so beautiful. It was, the nature was carrying me. She was so respecting, so loving. She was like mother. That's why I call it she, actually. Because like, for me, it has a lot of feminine energy, like Mother Nature. It's not called Mother Nature for nothing. But I have to say, my husband did not have this perception of feminine energy. He had very neutral, gender balanced, genderly neutral experience. It's probably because I, as a female, I have this feminine lens, feminine filter. I'm looking to the world through. So I might perceive it as feminine energy, but it might not be that. It might just be perceptual for me, in the sense that I need to embrace it more, or this is the energy I can perceive the best. But it was like really like the nature was hugging me. She was like really, I was melting down in it. And I had to start laughing loudly at a certain point, because before we ate these mushrooms, and it was our first experience with mushrooms in the forest or in nature, we were discussing with my husband, like, maybe we will meet a dwarf or a fairy. Maybe we would talk to a creature from this different dimension, you know. And we were like, we didn't know what to expect, but we were certainly expecting like to see something or someone pictured as we know it from fairy tales. And that was not the case. We just met the fucking nature, we met everything, we met the existence itself. You can meet the universe and the existence itself also when you're tripping in your living room. I've done this a few times. But meeting nature, that was very new to me. It was just talking to trees, talking to nature, being totally connected. I saw auras, I saw that infinite beauty. You know, I'm not that kind of lady when I'm tripping. I'm really like very animal-like creature. It's like tears are streaming out of my eyes like constantly, because it's so much beauty, it's so much love. My every cell is vibrating with beauty and love and gratitude. And it's like this orgasmic experience, hours and hours long, after I stop being cold and poisoned. And so, you know, when the trip really kicks in and I start being happy, it's hours and hours of cellular orgasm on a cellular level or energetic level. Every cell in your body just overflows with that, and I can't bear it because I'm very sensitive, I'm very receptive, but no one would be able to bear it, not even the least sensitive person. It's just like my tears are streaming, my snot is streaming, I'm drooling, I'm like, my hair is like this, and just laying there, you know, completely sweating. I don't smell very nice. But it's just so worth it. You are just so connected, and just you can just let this all happen. Doesn't matter at all. Mother Nature also explained a few things to me. I will put those things in a separate video, because I think it's very important to have a video just about them. I've asked her a few questions and she added a few very deep insights I had. Then I tried to sit up, and it was funny because I was very dizzy, so I just kind of rolled over to the other side. Then I got up again and we started laughing, of course, and it was just so much fun. And these, you know, the snot started dripping from my nose, and I was just so dizzy and so high. I tried to get some tissues, but I could not find them. And at this point, it reminded me of the rice paper sheets. You know, rice paper. I like to use it nowadays because I'm limiting gluten, or I'm trying really like gluten-free. So instead of tortillas, tortilla wraps, I'm using rice paper to wrap things up, mix tastes. I love it. And the consistency of that was like just the snot which was hanging from my nose. And we started laughing so heartily, like we have to call the rice paper, we have to call it snot paper because it's just so much more accurate. Ha 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 ha. Laughing, acting strangely. We were such a strange people. Yeah, that was beautiful. Then we heard some people coming over, like there. And the very beautiful thing about Holland, about the Netherlands, is that people are so open here and kind of respectful. They can be also dogmatic, close-minded, but let's say majority of them, they're like, they saw us because there was a crossing nearby, which we luckily didn't reach, otherwise we would get confused when we were like getting into the trip. But we laid down just before a crossing which we didn't see. And these people, there was a family passing, and I felt that there's mother, father and 2 kids. There are 2 kids. And I could not really see them, I could hear them, and I felt their love. I felt who the mother would just jump in front of the car to save their kids. You know, I felt their essential, existential love that they shared together. Oh. That was just so beautiful. But they saw us and we were like sitting there like laughing and doing strange movements, you know, and looking strangely, like looking like this, because if you are in the forest you see so much beauty. They saw us and they went the other way, you know. So what I wanted to say is the very amazing thing about the Netherlands is that people kind of like look the other way. You know, these guys are having some nice time there, they probably had something, let's go the other way. I'm not sure if there was someone passing along us when we were not in our bodies, you know, at the very beginning. I don't know, but really nobody disturbed us. Then we saw another one passing by. It was an old lady with her bike. She was just like going through the forest, probably taking a shortcut. And she also saw us. She did like, woo. And then she passed. The other way also. She chose the other way. It's just beautiful. You know, you can do this, nobody would call the police. For these questions and talks with nature, please follow me, subscribe, and I will upload another video very soon. And what was interesting was we had very little amount of water with us. It was very stupid. We have underestimated that, but we had just 1 liter of water. And at a certain point, the trip was kind of like getting off, like getting away. And we started feeling very thirsty and water was gone, and because we were sweating and so we have decided, it was like I think 6 hours after we consumed the mushrooms, we decided that we will go home or like back to our accommodation. We had 1 more night booked. If you guys knew me in the real life, how confused I can get with maps and orientation, you would probably not let me guide you out of the forest. Because we are already high, partially tripping, where we were looking for the pathways to hide somewhere in the forest. So we did not really rationally remember the way we used. But you know, I was just walking with my barefoot through the pathway, and I knew exactly these legs were just stepping exactly, taking the correct turns and leading us away from the forest. It was just so beautiful to see how nature was kind of like helping me getting out of there, and she was still, I got these messages and this understanding from her, like, you guys had a nice time, it's now time to drink some water that you won't get sick, and see you again. You're always welcome. You are always welcome. That's the message from the nature. Oh boy, that was strong. That was so beautiful. She really led me out. I knew exactly which turn I had to take. And my husband was like, shouldn't we go left? I was like, no, trust me, sweetie, trust me. Once in your lifetime, trust me with orientation, I can handle it. I was really like being pushed and rotated again and pushed to the correct exit. And then my husband was like, oh shit, really? Like, this is where we started. Well done, sweetie. I didn't expect that from you. So it was very cute. And we got back to the accommodation, and because the only thing we ate that day were these mushrooms, we were like, calories. And I had this emergency package with me. I grabbed it very quickly because we had to pack in very quickly when we were leaving our home. It was corn pasta. I will never do that mistake again. And red sauce. Emergency package for the trippers. So we cooked it. And it already looked suspicious. And it smelled not nice. But such a junk food used to be, very easy to eat for me. I ate it regularly. But after this strong trip and connection with nature and beauty, I was just so conscious that this is so wrong. I could not just simply eat it in terms of calories. I did eat a little. I was like, calories, these fucking calories, I can't eat this. Halfway there, and I just laid my plate aside and I said, I'm not eating this rubbish anymore. What have I done? What have I cooked? This is not even food, come on. Luckily we had some fruits with us. We wanted to spare it for the breakfast the next day, but we took a little bit from it. So I had these beautiful fruits. It was just food of my life at that moment. So I fixed the traumatizing experience with very nice fruits and berries. Well, my husband did finish his plate, but he did not want to finish mine. There's no wonder about that. One thing I forgot to say that was on the very beginning, that's very important, sorry, I just really forgot, was I work as a healer and as a massage therapist. I have my own studio, and sometimes I feel when I'm working with people who are really traumatized, who are very heavy cases and have a lot of pain, emotional pain, physical pain, I kind of channel it from them. I help them to get off it. But I sometimes had this feeling that down there in my pelvis, like where the sacral chakra is, that I still carry a part of their pain with me, that it creates tension. And I know the sacral chakra is my weak spot. We have some history in our feminine lineage with some certain health issues connected to wombs and so. I might get into this later. But after 2 months of not having mushrooms and healing heavy cases in my studio, I felt certain stone real stone in my pelvis. And as you remember, when I was sitting there like this, and I went laying with my husband, like together, at a certain point I felt like that someone took a needle and put it into my vagina and like pierced my water, like you know, pregnancy, you're pregnant and then your water breaks, it makes this popping sensation, and then, you know, warm water streams around your legs. I know how it feels because my second labor started like that. And this is what I have experienced with mushrooms. They kind of like pierced me from under, and all this water, it was just energy, just like squirted out of me, and I was like, I just pissed myself. I pissed myself. Did I really do it? Did I pee? No. I was tripping so much, like I have heard this voice like, Katie, let it go, let that go. They didn't say like, let it go of these energies. They say, let go of this need of checking on me if I have pissed or not. And I was like, okay. And I let go and I was gone. Then I got away from my body, you know, or I got out of my body, and I stopped existing. That was the ultimate ego death. And this healing of my sacral chakra happened just before that. But the good news is I didn't pee. It was all just energy that just really flooded my my lap, my thighs, inner thighs, and my, you know, the sitting place, sitting bones, and that's just this area where you are sitting. It was just energy, like flooded there. I was dry, so it's good news. But I know that it can happen, that people can really pee, because it just everything gets loose over there, especially women. We carry a lot in our pelvis. So we had some spare clothes with us, but we didn't need it. But it's good to have with you when you are going for large doses. And if you're a female and if you think that you can use some healing in your pelvis, mushrooms will just strip you of it, strip you of your traumas, just heal it, no matter what. You can shit yourself, you can pee. So be careful about that. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. The other day we drove to pick up our children, and we drove home, and we were like reloaded with love and gratitude, and it's still here with us, you know, even if it's a few weeks later. I think it's now 3 weeks ago this trip happened, and yeah, we are still loaded and still happy. Very interesting thing happened the evening we arrived home. So Saturday was the whole day experience in the forest. Then I had 3 ticks and my husband had 7. Nice score, but totally worth it. And when we arrived home on Sunday evening, kids went to sleep immediately, and then I called my mother. And I was telling her, hey mom, we had this trip and there were some personal issues from our family, it just came above water in my case, and I really needed to cry in the forest, and I needed to cry on the phone with my mom, and I asked her advice, and blah 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 blah. I was chatting with my mom about that, and she was very supportive. My mom is cool. And my husband was like running left and right in the living room, and left and right, and cleaning stuff and reorganizing suddenly everything. And then I was done with calling to my mom, and he told me, "Hey, sweetie, we have too much things. We have too many things." And I said, like, "Yeah, I know, it's not that bad, you know, but we can have less. And we can organize them better, because we have a lot of toys, a lot of books, a lot of children books, a lot of kids are here, you know." It was just such a beautiful experience to see my husband cleaning up this way. He was so aware, and his consciousness was elevated at that very moment, that he really needed to create space and get rid of stuff we don't need. It was just beautiful to see. He does not always do that, even if I ask him to clean up his stuff, and you know, we are tidy people, he's a tidy man, but sometimes, you know, he leaves his tool everywhere, and I really have to push to make him clean it up. But suddenly he felt this urge of cleaning up, and that was beautiful. So, and immediately I got inspired again, so I painted, sorry, this camera is mirroring myself on the screen, so I thought that this painting is actually on the other side. I painted this one, and the week afterwards there's a fairy tale forest. It's also very nice under the black light lamp, UV lamp. And I continue painting because it's like I'm infinitely inspired. Since I started doing mushrooms, these inspirations just leaking through me, is going inside out and outside in and whatever. It's just streaming. I feel energies and just so relaxed and so aware and conscious about things. So this very nice thing about mushrooms, they are just, you know, these mushrooms, when you look at them, this is just a mushroom, but in fact it is a love concentrate. It's a gateless gate, and you know, when you from time to time have a option to go through the gateless gate, you should use it. I'm not saying that you should do mushrooms, but you know, meditation can also help. And so I cannot simply say that you should do mushrooms, because it would be seen as drug promotion. And then YouTube might not like my videos, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, I like this quote. "No one can pass the gateless gate, so be no one." And it's actually what happens with ego death. You become no one, you can pass the gateless gate, and you become infinite. And later you come back and you are upgraded, you're invincible, you're more stable. It takes more times, more trips. It takes meditation, it takes practice, it takes your day-to-day awareness of your own patterns and belief systems. It takes questioning your own belief systems and behavior patterns. It takes a lot of courage, but it's worth it. Man, it's worth it. I'm just so happy and elevated again. Happy to talk to you guys. I will see you next time. Definitely stay tuned, subscribe, and have a beautiful day.